to do the eruption.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, do you have any questions?
If it's just that, then no, I don't have any questions.
Alex, can you...
What questions would he have about doing an eruption?
I mean, it's a lot more difficult than you think.
It is, though. Yeah, I agree.
I've always
you only
wanted to
get
be a
one take.
Foley artist.
Yeah, you only get one take. You ready?
All right.
The Magma Chamber.
Okay.
I think
That's
you went
pretty good.
so loud there for a second that it cut out.
It definitely cut off, yeah, because it was so loud, but it was good.
Do you want to
Perfect.
try it again?
No, you get one take.
You
That's
get
it.
one take. You get one take.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandog.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Magma Chamber. This is episode 3, the rookie review, brought to you by Fantasy Volcano. Alex and I, we do have a special guest with us today.
Here's Brendan!
Hi, Brandon. How you doing, man?
I'm good. What's going on, guys?
Not much. It's a beautiful Sunday. I'm eager to jump into it. Alex?
I'm hungover.
Yeah. He's dragging a little bit today, but that's okay. Brandon, did you want to kind of introduce yourself? Tell us about your background in the Dynasty League. I know you made the playoffs this past year.
Yeah. So I'm Brandon C375 on the league, and I'm the consistently underrated person, as according to Cass and according to me. So I consistently overshoot where I'm supposed to be. So I'm happy to be there.
Great.
Thanks for having me on.
I actually do have you, I think, in both one of the best and one of the worst picks in different rounds. So it'll be interesting to see your takes on those. We are going to do some little... So go ahead, Alex.
Whoa. Can we get a fun fact?
Yeah.
That was from Brandon.
Me? Do you want me to say something fun fact about myself?
Yeah.
Huh. What is a fun fact about me? So I met Cassidy and some of the other people that went to Pitt through the Pitt band, and I never went to Pitt. I snuck in through the cracks.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I have a more fun fact about Brandon. Last weekend, he shared a bath with Robert Bingaman, also in the league.
Oh, that did happen.
He did.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
We will not post any pictures on social media. We will not disseminate the evidence, but there were enough eyewitnesses to all prove that it did happen.
Yeah, so if you want to see a picture of it, you have to go and visit Cassidy and Lisa's place in Delaware.
Or you can
there should be pictures or portraits hanging up, caricatures.
You can come to Hawaii and show them yourself, Brandon.
That's true. I could do that.
Yeah.
If I land a decent gig with my company and have a lot more vacation time, I will do that.
That sounds good. Alex, did you want to kind of just bring us in here as to what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we're gonna do some draft analysis, some draft grades and stuff like that. But before we get into it, I wanted to go over some of my favorite and least favorite picks from our previous drafts.
Ooh.
Just a quick review for everybody that I thought might be fun. In 2019, I'll let you guys guess whether this is a good pick or bad pick. At the 105, Alex took N'Keal Harry.
Ooh.
So
I'm pulling it up right now, actually. So yeah, we see N'Keal Harry. 105 for Team 5. Oof.
And then I think it might be wrong on the screen, but in 2019 at the 210, Mabes took Terry McLaurin, which I thought was a nice steal there.
Steal, yeah.
And if you go to the third round, Kelson and Eric somehow managed to get both Tony Pollard and Miles Gaskin in the third. Yep. And then skipping over to 2020, least favorite picks. Cassidy took Keyshawn Vaughn at the 107. And I think it's not a terrible pick, but when you look at what's after him, it's a little bit more egregious. And then here comes Brandog in the second round with Antonio Gibson. That was a good one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Then 317, Mabes got Gabriel Davis, and Rob got Darnell Mooney at the 407, which I think was the most successful fourth round pick I've seen in our draft so far.
But I don't think that we could just skate over Matt O's compensatory pick at the end of the third round, getting James Robinson.
Oh, you know what? I skipped that one. That's another good one.
Yeah, it turns into Tyreek Hill. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't got to talk about that.
Gosh.
But yeah, let's get into this year's draft.
Okay.
All right.
I do have the full draft. It is kind of broken up into the first 8 picks and the last 8 picks on your screen, just so that we can see it a little bit larger. But it's the full draft here. We're gonna go round by round. So we'll start with the first round here. I think a lot of it was chalk, but to me, the first really great pick, just kind of value-based pick in the first round that I thought was perfect was Javonte Williams at 105, especially for Drew's team. He got what some people consider to be the second overall running back in this league, or I'm sorry, in this draft. I personally do think he's the third running back, but a lot of people are high on him. He's in a great landing spot. Drew needed running back help, so he got both Najee and Williams with those 2 picks in the first 5, and just honestly great value for him.
Yeah, that was not pick by pick, man. How did you skip to pick 5?
Oh, I was just giving you my best pick of the first round. You want to go pick by pick?
Okay. Yeah, we're going pick by pick here.
All right. Tell me about Najee.
Nothing. I have nothing about Najee. Brandon?
I mean, he seems like a beast, and why wouldn't you want him with the 101?
I have something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alex, if you had the 101, would you have picked an ETN?
No.
Liar.
Chalk. No,
liar.
Chalk.
Oh, man. I don't know. I think ETN could be making a case for the 101. All right. The 102, ETN, Alex picks him up.
The only thing I'll say here is I think I've thought a lot about whether or not I should have gotten Jamar Chase here, just in particular for team need. I'm someone that doesn't like drafting for team need and likes drafting for talent, but definitely a decision that I could have made.
N'Keal Harry at 105 2 years ago burned you.
Yeah, that definitely was in the back of my mind.
Well, you made up for that by like snaking some running backs off of some other people in like veritable trades or just a bunch of different trades over the last couple of years. So you've built up a good running core, but now you have like 5 or 6 running backs that people covet.
Yeah, and I mean, as me and Cassidy are always lean back on is we like to build our teams from running backs. So
yeah.
Dagger Justin Lee does pick up Jamar Chase at the 103. Again, someone who, and maybe not in this league, but in a lot of leagues do value as the 101 as well. Just 3 guys who all could be that top slot here. I like that pick for Dagger, but he needed running back help, so it was a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, that comes into play in the 104, where he takes Kyle Pitts. I'm going to throw it to Brandon first about how he feels about Kyle Pitts.
You know what? With tight ends, with a tight end kind of bonus league that we have, I don't hate the pick. But you know what? If he needed running backs and Javonte Williams was there, I mean, it's kind of a toss up. I mean, let's see who his tight ends are or tight ends were going forward. I mean, he had Arnold from Carolina, and he had Thaddeus Moss. Yeah. So I don't hate the pick by any means. I mean, that was, if he was going off by team needs, then that's the right pick.
Yeah, I mean, the running backs are just so hard to acquire, and he has 0 running backs as well. So I think I obviously would have gone Javonte, but like no one's going to trade for Pitts anyways. Like he's like whoever owns Pitts is never going to trade him. Yeah. Or it's going to be very hard. So like if you like him, like I kind of agree with Brandon at that point where like it's not a terrible pick if he likes him that much.
The only way I could see someone acquiring Pitts is if the person who owns Pitts, in this case Justin Lee, is making a run for it, and then you try to swap like a Kelsey or a Waller as part of a bigger trade, straight up kind of deal, right? Like someone who's going to be going for it. Obviously, they're not going to use Pitts this year, but like Alex said, this guy is just going to. You're holding on to him. He's drafting him for the future. It's not for this year. They still have Hayden Hurst for at least one more year. They did not pick up Hayden Hurst's 5th-year option. So
Cassidy, Hayden Hurst is not going to be anything.
I know, but I'm just
non-factor.
All right. We'll move on. I talked about Javonte Williams, great pick, my number 1 pick of the first round, I think.
Javonte is clearly going to have more value than Pitts at the end of this year.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see what Denver is going to be like in the next couple of years, because not only do you have some lackluster quarterbacks, one of whom I own, but you also have a ton of like receiving options. I mean, you have like 4 receivers or so. I think Deshaun Hamilton just went down, but then you also have 2 pretty good tight ends. So I don't know what that's going to be like whenever it comes to offensive production, who they're going to go to. I don't know if Javonte catches passes from the backfield, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Denver's going to be like during the year.
Yeah, he's not a terrible receiver in college. I have him graded as the number 8 receiving back in this class. But overall, I have him number 3. So he's definitely, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I just hate his athleticism.
Yeah.
He's got burst. He's just slow as fucking balls. But he reminds me a lot of David Montgomery, and I've been burned by David Montgomery. So
we just saw David Montgomery end the season as the RB4, and he has the same.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Here's where we get into the non-chalk territory, where people can just kind of have their own tendencies, their own biases about who they like. So we've gotten past the first 5, and this is kind of where it gets fun. So Devontae Smith at 160 pounds goes to Dagger. I've been told by Dagger he's gained weight already just by his pictures. I think Dagger is just some sort of scientist. He's able to look at these pictures and tell me that Devontae Smith has already put on muscle in the 2 weeks since that he's been drafted. So he's hype about it. He loves this pick. He's got good opportunity. Give me your thoughts.
Well, the camera adds 10 pounds. So
that's right.
Depending on how many cameras are on him, it might just be, the camera's effect. I personally would have picked Jalen Waddle, but I don't know. Dagger kind of went a little rogue in this draft. So
I think this is, I mean, we're past the first or second tier at this point, and you got to this like weird mesh of players now that kind of fall into this next tier. So I don't hate the pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. He'll have good opportunity. Hopefully he pans out. I also would have gone Jalen Waddle, which went to Chongdong at 107. Dagger warned me about some tendencies with Waddle being a straight line receiver only. Apparently Dagger's really, really researched about these high tier wide receivers. So he didn't like Waddle. Went to Chongdong. Miami fan, perfect fit there.
Yeah, I thought that was a good pick.
I mean, in terms of landing spot, I preferred obviously Devonta's landing spot. And I don't know if you guys heard, but he won the Heisman Trophy.
Jesus.
So
yeah, I've heard somewhere. I read a paper. Remember those?
Yeah, he was a receiver that won a Heisman, so that's interesting. But yeah, I think both of them are in the next tier, so I don't hate either pick. It's pretty chalky.
We move on to our first quarterback. It was actually Mabes who moved up to draft Trevor Lawrence at the 108. I did not like this move up from Matt Gumabe. He didn't need a quarterback. He has Kyler Murray. I think he just really, really liked this guy, and he wanted to make sure that he was able to snag him. I personally think he would have made it to him at 111, which is what he traded up from. And Drew snagged Trey Lance at that pick instead. So gave up a lot of value to move up here, and I think that he could have just settled for someone else at the 111.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we could talk about how in general drafts, whenever quarterbacks are selected, you get some runs going on. I don't know if this would have been like a cause and effect kind of thing, where if Mabes hadn't picked Trevor Lawrence, then Drew wouldn't have picked Trey Lance at the 111. But I think Mabes would have been so much better had he picked like Terrace Marshall Jr. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Or even Rashad Bateman, who went right after Trevor Lawrence. Went to Dagger, which, I mean, he picked up another receiver. Alex, you want to give us your thoughts about Lawrence before we move on to Bateman here?
No, I think Brandon brought a really good point of like runs. I mean, running backs and wide receivers is kind of more difficult because they're obviously scattered throughout the entire draft. But definitely in terms of tight ends and quarterbacks, you'll see in this draft that there was particular spots where there was runs on positions. So
yeah,
I think that was a good point.
We do move on to Bateman, which everyone hates the landing spot. My big thing that I like to bring up, though, is that Lamar Jackson has never had a target. I mean, you could argue Andrews is this big guy who's pretty athletic and a good receiver, but he's never had a true alpha receiver, and I think Rashad Bateman brings that to Baltimore, which is a different skill set than what they saw in their former first-round pick, Marquise Brown. So, although people hate the landing spots, we'll have to see how the offense shifts at all, if it does, and Bateman could be a sneaky good pick here for Dagger.
Yeah, Bateman was one of the ones that I actually had highlighted, just saying stay away. And one of the things that I had heard was that Greg Roman, who's the offensive coordinator over at Baltimore, has not had one wide receiver or any receiver in general reach 1,000 yards in 1 year as he's been for as long as he's been the offensive coordinator. So between that and I really don't know much about Bateman, to be honest, and I just liked some of the other options around him, like Elijah Moore or Terrace Marshall Jr. or just some of the other receivers that could have been picked at that pick. So that's the only one I'm down on, really. But maybe he'll surprise me. I just don't know why Dagger picked a third receiver so far.
Yeah, I don't like being too much weight on landing spot, but this is a landing spot that I think is just like a dead zone. Like there's just, I mean, I'm stealing this from somebody else, but they're throwing the ball 400 times a year, and he in a good season would get 25% of that target share, which gets into like maybe 100, pushing 110 targets, and like there's just on that offense, which I mean, it's just not going to be enough to produce anything meaningful. So while I do think he's a very talented player, I don't see a lot of fantasy value going forward.
Okay. Terrace Marshall picked that Brandon likes, I think, is even in worse landing spots just because he's buried on the depth chart behind DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
He's
the number 3.
But Robbie Anderson is going to leave next year, so he can easily move into the number 2 spot. You've seen 3 wide receivers supported in that offense just last year, so I don't understand why he would be you'd consider that a worse landing spot than Baltimore.
All right, let's see. Curtis Samuel's target share last year. Let me look it up. Here we go. You guys go. Give us your thoughts, Brandon, as I find this.
All right, so Terrace Marshall Jr. was one of the ones that I had highlighted of like, yeah, if he's there, pick him immediately. Just like I've heard a lot about his speed. I've heard that the only kind of risk with him is that he has an injury history, but half the guys in the draft have injury histories in one way or another. He's met up with, I think, his old offensive coordinator, I guess, from college. So that helps. Yep. There might be some favorability there if you want to go that nepotistic route. And then you got Darnold, who, I guess the offensive line is better. I can't remember exactly what Carolina drafted or who Carolina drafted, but you could go with some slot play with Marshall. I mean, I think you can line him up outside with the Y. I just think that I think the depth chart is a lot thinner than you think, Cass.
Okay.
I agree.
Curtis Samuel, who they replaced with David Moore, by the way, they brought in, had 97 targets, 77 catches for 800 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so that's in his range of outcomes for his rookie season.
Right. That's his ceiling for his rookie season, right?
Yep.
And you're telling me that ceiling is higher than Rashad Bateman's ceiling in his rookie season? Because I disagree.
I'm gonna say it's probably about the same. And then going forward, when he takes over the number 2 role, assuming that he is as talented as we all think he is, which I mean, he was performing alongside Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, so I think it's a pretty good bet that he's going to take that number 2 chair, and he should see like 125 targets going on to next season, as long as Darnold doesn't like shat the bed.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It really also depends on what McCaffrey does. I mean, we have to consider the fact that he was out for a couple games or a bunch of games last year, and Robbie Anderson. I mean, he had 136 targets, made 95 receptions out of that for almost 1,100 yards. So I really don't know how you play with those numbers. I'm guessing that they're going to go down for some of those higher up receivers, meaning that it's going to trickle down even further with Marshall. But I don't know. I think it's just kind of a toss-up. I just like him overall better than Bateman.
They're both good receivers. We have Trey Lance at 111, which was, I mean, Drew clearly did not want Lawrence. He was targeting Trey Lance. He got his player. He got to move down 3 slots to pick up the quarterback of his preference. Perhaps not the day 1 starter, but he's clearly extremely talented. Taken with the number 2 overall pick. San Francisco's a great offense. So, yeah, I mean, Konami quarterback, I think that's great for Drew.
I don't have too much to add. I think the only thing that I would add is that he probably had one of the best picks of the draft last year in picking Justin Herbert in the second round. So it's just one of those things where, how do you try to balance those two quarterbacks? It's a little bit of a spoil of riches. I don't know if he tries to move Matt Ryan. So, we'll see there.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, Cassidy, do you want to explain what a Konami quarterback is?
Konami code quarterbacks are just running quarterbacks. Yeah.
Oh. So like Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Yeah. Clearly, yes.
Just great. Carson Wentz last year, running quarterback.
Yeah, Lawrence has it, Lance has it, Fields has it of the top 5.
Lawrence has it. Lawrence is athletic, but I don't think his first option is to run. Like, Trey Lance is a runner.
Okay, but you're being very technical about this, but Lawrence is going to get several carries a game.
You think he's hitting 400 rushing yards this season?
I think that he will have more rushing yards than Carson Wentz averaged.
Okay. I don't.
That's
a
weird bar, but
dude, he ran.
I mean, Carson Wentz is a running quarterback
probably,
too, right?
Carson Wentz is not a running quarterback. Again, they have the ability to run, but they're not a running quarterback.
Okay.
I don't know. Carson Wentz got, I think, 5 rushing touchdowns or something like that last year. That kind of saved me in the garbage time. So
is
I'll
Josh
take the wins
Allen
that I get.
in this Konami?
No, they have to be black.
Oh my
God! Just joking. Josh Allen is a rushing quarterback.
Really? Okay, so I think Trevor Lawrence could be Josh Allen.
Oh my God, that's a terrible take. We'll move on.
Why is it okay? We have Michael Carter at 112. I'm going to pass it off to Alex here first. Go ahead, give me your thoughts.
Day 3 running backs. Undersized, who's like a receiving back, I guess, but like
no. Javonte had more catches than him.
Yeah, agreed. But that's what people are labeling him as, a receiving back. Who's not particularly fast either. On the Jets, I'm gonna pass on this pick.
Brandog?
I don't have too much to add. I like Michael Carter, but it might just be because it wasn't a deep running back class, and I wasn't even really looking at running backs, given that I have that 3-headed monster of Chubb, Gibson, and Hunt. But that's just me.
I think this goes back to the theme of probably my analysis, which is like I don't like drafting on landing spot.
Yeah. Outside of Harris, Etienne, and Williams, there was not a running back in this class that I really liked. So at this point, if you're a running back, I would only look at ADP and value rather than talent. We do have Trey Sermon, who Brett was very happy to receive at the 113. Brandon, what are your thoughts about the Trey Sermon pick?
If I'm going landing spot as well, I mean, you got that running back committee and Trey Lance, who whenever he's in is also going to be another runner. I don't really know what to make of this pick. I know that he immediately put him on his taxi squad, so I don't think that this was a pick for 2021. But I mean, this was my draft slot. It's just that I already traded that pick away I traded it to Dagger for Hunt, and he traded it to Brett. So I think I still kind of won if you would match me up with Brett between Hunt and Sermon, so that's fine.
Well, you traded away two firsts for that, right?
I traded away my 21 and my 22 for Hunt.
Okay, so we'll have to see. Yeah.
It's like the Seahawks when they keep saying that every one of their like draft picks in the first round now is Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we took Jamal Adams with that. We're just gonna do it 3 more times.
Yeah.
I have Trey Sermon as my RB4 in this class. I had Michael Carter as RB5. With landing spot and draft capital baked in. So again, I just, as kind of like you said, Cassidy, I'm not thrilled about any of these picks or any of these running backs after the top 3. But I think Trey Sermon will probably like disagree with Brandon a little bit on this. I think Trey Sermon will see some production in his rookie season. It's just going to be sporadic and hard to tell when exactly it's going to be his week.
Yeah, San Francisco offense is unpredictable for sure.
Yeah, I think Brett was right to stash him for this year. I mean, it kind of seems like he already knows what he wants to do for this year, but you never know if that changes a bunch.
Okay. His plan is usually losing, so
after winning though.
That's true.
Yes.
He is a champion, man. Pay your respects.
Yeah.
We got Rondale Moore, the first of the Moores, at 114 here, Arizona wide receiver. Alex, talk to me.
Talented prospect, easy pathway to second receiving option on a high-powered offense.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah,
good wide receiver. Yeah, good ADP. It's honestly, I think between him and Elijah Moore at 114 is who I would have leaned. And bada bing, we'll talk about it. The 202 got Elijah Moore. 115 goes to NY, who already has Dak Prescott. He takes Justin Fields. I think he was trying to trade out of this pick, but he grabs another quarterback for himself, and he is a Konami quarterback, correct, Alex?
Yes.
Okay. It's not. Okay, never mind.
Closer than Lawrence.
Yes, agreed. Because he's more black.
Oh, God. God, where's, again, edit button? Where are you?
Give me your thoughts, Brandog.
On Fields?
On Fields.
On Fields, I mean, at this point in the draft, I was kind of hoping that Fields would have dropped down to the second round so that I could get a decent quarterback without having to trade. I was kind of hoping for, Fields, Wilson, or Mac Jones to hit me at the 209. But, I mean, I can't deny that this is like a good pick for whoever needs a backup quarterback. And NY last year suffered the whole Dak Prescott thing. So, I think this might be just like one of those, hey, Justin Fields, just in case kind of pick.
Justin Fields is like probably my favorite quarterback prospect from this draft. I mean, like not in terms of like talent, but just like in terms of, I think he's going to be a quality player based on where people were ranking him. So
yeah, I know that when I was watching with Cass and Ian, just watching the NFL draft, I know he kept repeating that Justin Fields should have not sank down to the 11th overall pick. He should have been the number 2. So, I mean, I pretty much agree. I don't know how things kind of flipped on their heads over the last 6 to 8 weeks when people started saying Zach Wilson is the guy to go to the Jets, but it's probably a favorable position for Fields to go to the Bears.
To round out the first round, we do have Pat Freiermuth. Terrible pick by Kelson Ikenaga. He did need tight end. He had an opportunity.
Correction. It was Kelson and Eric.
Kelson and Eric Duamphamy. They needed a tight end. Right now they're starting Zach Ertz, who is likely to be traded. I mean, that's not terrible in a 16-team league, but I think they just wanted to kind of bolster their tight end room. They have Eric Ebron in Pittsburgh, who will be the starter, and I don't see Freiermuth taking a ton of those snaps away. I don't see him really helping the defending champions in the 2021 season. I think that there were a lot of... there's one particular receiver who I would have taken at the 116 instead, and I don't know about this pick, man. I'm down on it. Give me your thoughts, Alex.
Yeah. Again, there's only one player that I like significantly think is in a better tier. So I think that's it's hard at this point. Like, this is a weird part of the draft. But yeah, I don't like overdrafting from landing spot, and I don't like drafting for a specific team need. So I kind of agree with you.
Brandog.
In all honesty, it kind of made my job easier at the 201 that Freiermuth was off the board. He was somebody that I was looking at, but I was thinking that in a similar position to Justin Fields, I thought he could sink down to the 209 and I could get him pretty easily. But, I mean, Kelson and Eric are the champions, so they've got to have something cooking there.
That's true. We do have 2 terrible champions between Brett and Kelson and Eric. So,
and all co-managers, by the way, too.
Oh yeah, Tyler as well.
Brett's also, yeah. We can't deny Tyler O'Daniel here.
That means my year's next. Me and Alex Somerville. So.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Alex is the clear manager, and you're just the paper guy.
Yeah. That wraps up our first round. We're gonna take a quick break and then move on to rounds 2 through 4. All right. Alex was kind of bringing in the hate while we were talking off the broadcast here. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 201 goes to Brandon Caridi. I agree. Just because there is a clear other player that we both like. Alex, you want to bring the hate here towards the 201 Amon-Ra?
Surprisingly, I actually don't have like that much hate, as you said, toward this pick. Like, again, like, this is a weird spot of the draft. There's not like too much talent, but there's wide receivers obviously I liked over him. I don't think it's a reach. Just I don't like picking based on landing spot, and that's his biggest strength right now.
So, and that's why I picked him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brandon, you took him. I mean, I guess he has clear path to the wide receiver 1.
He has a clear path to the wide receiver 1, and I was kind of looking for opportunity. I needed some impact players for my anywhere from WR2 to WR4 on my team. I know Thielen is getting older, and I know Gallup is in kind of a non-favorable spot with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper in Dallas. And I just think that Amon-Ra St. Brown he's a good route runner, and his NFL comp is Robert Woods, and he's got Jared Goff thrown to him, so Goff can kind of pick that route running up a little bit easier. So I think that Amon-Ra can get, I don't know, I think he could definitely get 150 targets. What he does with it, we'll see.
This season?
Yeah.
The Magma Chamber hot take of episode 3. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Afterwards, 150 targets.
They could. They've got no one there, dude.
All right, a line. You set a line, and I will take a bet with you.
I will not do this again publicly with bets anymore.
Oh my god. 130 targets. You taking the over, Brandon?
I mean, that's much more reasonable. I think 150. I was a little excited with that, but I mean, I'll take 130.
I will take the under right now. $20. Alex?
No, I'm not betting on this.
Oh my god! Put your money where your mouth is. Great pick at 202. Robert Bada Bing 92. Elijah Moore, the last wide receiver of this tier, should have gone about 4 or 5 picks ago. Alex?
Yeah, we'll go quickly through these second round players, but potentially sending offense will outscore wide receivers taken ahead of him.
Yeah, perfect. Great, beautiful pick. Best pick of the second round. We're going to kind of speed through these. We got Kenny Gainwell at 203, goes to Dagger. What do you think, Brand Dog?
He's going to be fighting for the RB2 spot.
Useless pick.
Excellent receiving back, going to a team with backs with very similar skill sets with a quarterback that doesn't throw their running backs. So, awful landing spot.
Useless. Dimey Brown.
Someone that hates landing spot.
Yeah. Dimey Brown goes at 204 to NY. Alex?
I have nothing to say here. Good receiver, interesting landing spot. Fine with the pick.
I'm very neutral about kind of like these next 3 picks here. We have Dimey Brown at 204, Nico Collins at 205, also to NY. He picks back to back.
Alex likes himself some Nico Collins.
Yeah, I think
Houston
he's good.
Is a top 3 landing spot and underrated athletic prospect. So
I'm surprised that he went at 205. I don't hate it though because I do think that he is good as well. And then Kadarius Toney is someone who Brandog really liked. He goes. I think it's so funny because these like very controversial, very hot and cold wide receivers, Dagger always picks up. You know, he
definitely has all of them.
Yep, yeah,
all of them.
Brett Ayuk happened to be one of the great ones, and people were definitely all over the place on him. And now he gets Kadarius Toney.
Who is that?
Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk. Matt Kelly calls him Ayuk. I don't know. Is it Ayuk?
It's not Ayuk. It's Ayuk.
Okay, whatever. Well, he gets Kadarius Toney, so it's another one, man. That's just it's such a wide spectrum of takes on this guy.
Yeah. First off, I want to clarify that I mentioned him once. You know, I was looking at I think Walter Football for like predictions in like February, and they were like, "Oh, it'd be a great landing spot for Indianapolis," and I was like, "Oh, cool. Wentz just got traded to Indianapolis, so that'd be a cool handcuff." And then I read more things about him, and I was like, "Nope." So glad he fell 6 picks behind me, and or 5 picks behind me, and glad he didn't go to me.
Got him.
Yeah. We do have back-to-back quarterbacks being taken by, I think, 2 teams who definitely could use quarterbacks at this time, and they round out the tier break of that quarterbacks kind of list. You have Zach Wilson going to the Jets to Brendan, and you have Mac Jones to Alex. Alex, I'll let you talk about the 2 quarterbacks.
I hate drafting quarterbacks in one quarterback league, but as Brandon kind of talked about earlier, there was a run on quarterbacks, so took one.
Yeah, and if you didn't take it, Brandog was 100% going to take him at 209. And I think you knew that, so you grabbed him at 208.
Yeah, but I'm not going to fight him there. So.
Yeah, so instead, the 209 does go to Dez Fitzpatrick. I think this was probably not the worst pick of the second round, but it's up there. I have it on my list.
Right up there with Amon-Ra.
No. It's actually the back half of the second round I think is kind of abysmal, to be honest with you. But I'll let you defend your pick here first.
I mean, it's going to be very similar to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you have some opportunity there. I mean, I know you're playing behind A.J. Brown, but I mean, between Jonnu Smith, Adam Humphries, which he didn't really contribute really anything last year, but between those 2, and then who's the other one? Who's the other one that left the Titans last year?
Tajay Sharp.
No, there was another receiver.
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So between the three of them, Jonnu, Corey Davis, and Adam Humphries, there were 220 targets, or they accounted for 220 targets from Tannehill last year. And given that Henry didn't really have any kind of problems, and that they'd probably be using him the same way, and given the fact that the Titans are kind of thinning out after AJ Brown, I think that this wasn't a bad pick. I just don't know too much about Dez. I think he was probably a better Louisville player than Tutu. So I just picked two wide receivers that have opportunity in front of them.
So my question is, why didn't you go with Amari Rodgers, who also has a clear pathway to the number 2 wide receiver, and went right after you?
I think his success is predicated on whether or not Aaron Rodgers is there, and I don't want to roll the dice too long.
Thoughts, Alex?
On Amari Rodgers, I to be fair, I did not know a lot about Dez Fitzpatrick coming into this draft or after this draft. I still don't know a lot about him. I'm just learning that he went to Louisville, so was not high on my radar. But again, landing spot pick. I think that's where me and Brandon differ. I don't like drafting for landing spot. Brandon maybe sees another 150 target season for Dez Fitzpatrick.
Probably not 150 targets, but I'll take targets.
Yeah, and I think that Amari Rodgers, like, if the Packers leave and if Rodgers leaves and the Packers are going to lose a bunch this year, they'll get a quarterback next year. And then I think Amari Rodgers can be kind of deployed throughout the lineup and formation to get a lot of manufactured touches on a roster that does not have a lot of receiving options.
Brandog, I will give you 110 targets on the Amon-Ra St. Brown line.
I mean, I'll take the over.
Yeah, $20, 110 targets.
Let's make it 109.5.
Done.
So that the house doesn't win. Okay. I'll take the over.
We have a Magma Chamber bet here, Alex. Mark it down. Amon-Ra, 109.5 targets. Receiving targets.
The receipts are all audio. Receipts are in audio.
Done. Alex, cool. Who won that bet? Quick take.
I'm here to support our guests, but he's made it hard to support him. So let's move on to the next pick.
All right, we have Ramondre Stevens, another horrible back half of the second round pick.
You keep saying that, but they can't all be bad picks, man. Like, there's just wasn't a lot of like good options here.
I think but there's a few names who are in the third and even fourth rounds that I would take over some of these guys. No joke. So you have Ramondre Stevenson. At 211 goes to New England. I guess that's a good landing spot for him. He can be that LeGarrette Blount role. I mean, dude. Okay, Alex and I did a review on this guy, and we watched one of his top highlights. Listen, one of his top highlights is him making a cut that took 7.5 steps. He changed directions from right to left, and it took him 7.5 steps to complete that cut. So I am out on this guy.
He runs a 4.63, which is very slow.
But
again,
that is faster. It is faster than David Montgomery.
Yeah, that's not good. There is not a lot of running backs after this that are like significantly better. So like, again, I don't hate it. It's just, this guy in particular is absolute butt. But we'll move
on. Dwayne Eskridge, I do think is a good pick at 212. Goes to Crew 24K.
Great pick if he wasn't 100 years old. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh my God.
See, the age thing, I'm kind of like how you are with landing spots, Alex. Like, the age thing doesn't really bother me. I think Rondale Moore is 23 or 24 as well, and it wasn't going to diminish his value. If he reached me at the 101, then I would have picked Rondale Moore. I was really back and forth between him and Elijah Moore, just, for the record there. Dwayne Eskridge, I really don't. I don't know. I mean, he was somewhere in my rankings around the Amon-Ra area, but I just didn't want to pick him in the 209 either. I think just because of the opportunity. So, not a bad pick, though.
Let's see. Rondale Moore, just to be clear, is not even 21 years old yet.
What? Okay, so it maybe wasn't Rondale Moore. I'm guessing it was somebody else, though. I think somebody else in that top 2 tiers of receiving is like 23 that people were just like out on because of his age.
Is not a single receiver who is 23 until you get to Dwayne Eskridge.
And then maybe it was Dwayne Eskridge.
And he's 24.
Okay. I'll eat my words there. My bad.
Okay.
But,
yeah. Dwayne Eskridge is almost as old as us.
No.
But he's a rookie.
That's not quite there. I don't know. The age doesn't bother me. That's
okay.
the point I was trying to make. Okay. Anyways,
Khalil Herbert, Brett Morgan picks up, and I should say Tyler also picks up another running back. To bolster their room, they were definitely targeting this position in the draft.
they traded for this pick.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. What is he going to be, the number 4 running back in Chicago? You're putting a second round draft pick on this player. I'm not a fan. Alex?
Oh, yeah, he's butt. He is my 12th rated running back in this draft class. He can do a little bit of both, I would say, but yeah, I don't see him having a lot of success in the NFL.
Yeah, he's a stash pick. He's another one of
Real
those
quick,
that they just immediately put on the taxi. So,
would you rather have Chris Evans or Khalil Herbert? Tell me real quick.
Honestly. Well, that's unfair because I have Chris Evans as my number 7 rated prospect in this
Perfect.
draft.
So you would rather have Chris Evans. Chris Evans went at the 410, right? So that's what I'm saying. When there are tons of picks later that I would take over these back half of the second round guys, which is why I think
that's not fair. You cannot compare Khalil. You cannot compare Khalil Herbert to Captain America.
Okay. Would you rather have Khalil Herbert or Javian Hawkins?
Oh man. Okay. Undrafted rookies are rarely successful, outside of James Robinson. But I guess Javion, if I had to pick.
Would you rather have... Okay, I'll give you an even harder one. Dokes or Herbert?
That's the same boat to me.
So they're the same pick. And Dokes went at the 405. I'm just making a point. Back half of the second round, abysmal.
Chuba Hubbard. Who's at 214?
I'm okay with Chuba at 214.
Yeah. I like that pick.
Yeah, I like that pick. Bada bing got him. Got some running back help behind only CMC realistically in a good, not necessarily a good offense, but in a offense with a lot of weapons. We'll see what Sam Darnold can do. We talked about the Panthers offense already. Brandog, what are your thoughts?
I'm surprised he didn't go earlier, or especially in front of Ramondre and Khalil. I think that he was running back 8 or running back 9 or something like that. Whenever I was looking at projections, he was right behind Gainwell. So.
He went running back 7 in our draft. Yeah, he probably should have went 5, maybe 4. So
I agree with Brandon's take, but I will say another hot take that absolutely nobody will care about. I think that Rodney Smith is a decent back.
3, 4, 5,
You're
6,
right.
7,
I don't
8,
care
9.
about
He
that.
is 9. You're right. He's RB9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he should have went 6. I'm sorry. He should have went RB6. Okay, we have Daz Newsome, who I think, for whatever reason, Ian was high on. This is another second round pick that I just hated. I think that the wide receiver in Daz Newsome is not a great prospect. I think it's not even a great landing spot. I'm not a fan here. Alex?
Brandon can take this one because I honestly know nothing about him either.
Okay.
He was around that Des Fitzpatrick kind of thing. I think, I don't know, Ian's rock solid in his convictions until he isn't. So I kind of, he's the one that's really hard to trade with because he likes his team so much. So yeah, there must be something that he likes about Daz. Maybe it's that his name is Daz.
He does have a cool name. We do wrap up the second round with another tight end. The 216 goes to Tremble, Carolina tight end. Awful.
This is the this is the thing I think that Brandon touched on in the first round, where there's usually runs, and this was just a weird spot for a tight end for me. And I think there's a lot of tight ends in that next tier after Freiermuth, so I was a little confused by the pick.
So just to review, okay, I think absolutely awful picks in the second round: Stevenson, Herbert, Newsome, and Trumbull. There's 4. That's 25%. They're absolutely awful. I think there's also a few that were bad in general, but those are the 4 that I just would not have even taken in the second round at all. That's just me. Here is round 3.
Dunes entered the draft.
I have entered the draft. Alex gave me some shit about moving up for this pick.
Terrible pick.
Go ahead.
No, again, landing spot maybe, I guess, is what you're looking for here. I like day 2 draft capital, but this guy is, he's athletic, but 0 production in college. I don't know what you're looking at here.
Yeah, I just to me, he kind of should have gone in the back half of the second round. There's a couple more wide receivers possibly that should have went there, and I wanted to make sure I grabbed one. The day 2 draft capital is what I'm looking at, so I definitely could have waited in retrospect for my 305. Anthony Short's also one of those wide receivers in the same tier that I see Josh Palmer in, and could have gone in the second round. Alex, you picked him up.
Yeah, this guy's an Olympic athlete, sprinter, and also has day 2 draft capital. So, and more production than Palmer. So, I like that guy.
But he's behind a lot more receivers. And
Again,
you just traded for Rashard Higgins.
You're putting too much on landing spot. I mean, yeah, too much on landing spot. Like if you're a talented player, especially in the third round, you're going to find like the field. So I don't think I put a lot of stock into immediate production.
Okay, fair enough. Elijah Mitchell goes at the 303 to Staj. What do you think, Brand Dog?
Well, Staj enters the draft too. I think we were all kind of making sure that he was still alive. I'm glad that he is. Staj, good for you. It's the same kind of take that I have on Trey Sermon. I mean, I've heard good things about Elijah Mitchell, but haven't heard enough to be like, oh, he's going to be the guy that overtakes Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert. It's just that's such a heavy running class or running team, so he'll get something, I'm sure.
This guy runs a 4.38, and he will have a week where he goes off like the pick.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I like that.
Hope he plays him on that week.
Probably
he's not, but yeah.
Tylan Wallace goes to NY at 304. I also think it's not a bad pick. He was a Biletnikoff finalist during his sophomore season. Crazy production, but he is one of those receivers that scares me because he has previous ACL injuries, and he also has a twin brother who also has ACL injuries, which recently research has been beginning to kind of give us an indication that it is family or it's genetically correlated. So it kind of scares me about his potential.
Why do you know so much about Tylan Wallace?
Because we owned Tylan Wallace for a little bit. We traded him away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think he's really, really good early on in his career, but I'm a little bit scared about his injury history. That's all. Yeah. We can go on to Larry Roundtree, who bought being picked up at 305. Give me your thoughts, Alex.
We're gonna wrap it up with favorite draft. Who had the best draft, and I think Bada had the best draft, but this is my least favorite pick from him. This guy's also not good.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him. He had good picks in Chuba and in Elijah Moore, but yeah, the Roundtree's a little bit rough. Javian Hawkins, I think, is a better prospect than Roundtree. He goes to Atlanta, decent landing spot.
He's undrafted.
Yeah, but Matto picks him at 306. Would you have waited here?
No, it's fine. I'm just saying, like, I think we need to, or you need to, in particular, like, lower expectations for an undrafted, very tiny receiving back going to Atlanta.
I like Javian Hawkins. He rushed for 2,000 yards. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, where was he playing?
Louisville in the ACC.
Back Louisville picks here.
Yeah. So Tutu Atwell, also from Louisville, falls all the way to 307 to Chongdong, just like his weight has fallen. I think he listed at 149. So God. That's why he fell so far. But I think it's a great pick for Brandon so late in the draft.
I think everybody in the league is heavier than this guy, except maybe Denon.
I think everyone in our dynasty league is heavier than this guy as well.
Oh, sorry, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were saying. Okay. Yeah. This guy is like the sloth victim from the movie Seven, where he's like all emaciated and tied to the bed, and it's like gross. I don't know. I didn't want to take a chance on him. He was also, is he short too? He might not be short, but
he's tiny. Yeah, he's like 5'7", I think.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's just he's like, I don't know. Is he like KJ Hamler of this class?
Worse.
I don't know, but he is
okay. So
yeah,
he's
way smaller.
Worse than KJ.
He has second round draft capital, so I think kind of the same thing with the Tony pick. Like, good pick at the spots. Bad, like, players probably not going to produce, but good pick at that draft selection.
Is Kelson heavier than him?
Yeah, I want to say yes.
Okay.
This is a weird. Like our draft could have gone a completely different way, and all of these receivers on the front half of this third round could have gone to the back half of the second round. Like I could have seen that happening.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Yeah.
How many Tutu Atwells could you fit in a Dunes?
I was going to say, I think back in your heyday, you at least were 2 Tutu Atwells.
All right.
Or 1 Roy Hibbert.
One Roy Hibbert. Okay, here we go. We have Kylan Hill, who he won in the 7th round. Is that right?
Alex loves himself some Kylan Hill. Requisite size, pass catching ability, buried on a depth chart, but I think he's a talented player.
Well, is he? What do you think? The RB3 in Green Bay?
Yeah,
that's not that buried. He's not. He's no Khalil Herbert.
He's no Khalil Herbert.
Khalil Herbert's in a class of his own.
Yeah. Jarrett Patterson goes to Brett Morgan, who picks up his 3rd running back of the draft. He was also undrafted, correct? Yeah, to Washington.
Yeah.
So he's a guy that I really, really, really liked from Buffalo. He had that amazing 8-touchdown game, but again, Alex has been preaching it. Undrafted running backs, he doesn't even have a ton of pass catching production. I don't think he caught a single pass this year, so it's tough to, although he is a smaller running back, to even envision him in a McKissick possibility of a role. So
yeah, if you like undersized running backs with no draft capital, Jarrett Patterson's your guy.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where, great college running back. It might not transition like 1 iota in the NFL. I mean, I'm glad that he has that 8-touchdown game because that might be all he hangs his hat on. But we'll see.
Jeez. Okay, Powell goes to Kansas City. This is a complete landing spot pick. 310 goes to Mabes. He likes his speedy receivers. Alex?
Agreed.
It's a fine pick. I have nothing against it here. And then the run of tight ends starts to come up here. So we have Brevin Jordan at 311. We're going to skip Darden for a second, and we have Hunter Long at 313, which I also like. I actually think. Do you like Hunter Long or Brevin Jordan better?
This is the spot where I thought like Tremble could have gone. That's why I just thought it was a weird spot for him. But yeah, this is a good spot for tight ends in the draft. I like both prospects, so nice picks.
Yeah, good for both.
Thank you.
Brandon C. and AF Sally, and then Jalen Darden at 312 to Tampa Bay.
You want to talk about buried in a depth chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll make the roster, the 53 man. So
I don't know. The way that I see, yeah, that's true. But the way that I see like 3rd round picks is that they're gonna be stash picks for the year after you draft them. So, I mean, I think is this guy that could. I can't remember. Some guy is like a dual threat of like wide receiver and running back. It might be Dimitri Felton, but it could be Darden.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Felton can play both.
Yeah. Okay, at the 314 we have Smith Marset goes to Minnesota. Matt Opoka grabbed him here. Brandog, thoughts?
3rd round pick. I don't really know what to make of most of these guys. A lot of the guys were just taking flyers on.
Yeah.
So.
It's a dart throw here, and then you pick up Shi Smith. I'm assuming the same feelings.
Yeah, I think with Robbie Anderson probably walking away from Carolina after this year, then you have Shi Smith who can possibly step into a role, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. So We'll see.
And then wrapping it up is a running back who was making a push for that top tier, just a month and a half ago, Jamar Jefferson out of Oregon State. Alex and I were talking about this guy possibly like as a top 5 running back in this class, and he went down to the 7th round and he got drafted to, again, a very deep depth chart, although they just got rid of Carry-On, but it's still tough for him in Detroit.
They got Amon-Ra taking away all his targets. All away his opportunity. Amon-Ra.
Yep. No targets for Jamar Jefferson this year because 150 going Amon-Ra's way.
Yeah.
And the last pick of the 3rd round is our compensatory pick. David Lee Rohr starts another quarterback run that goes in the 4th round. He takes Kyle Trask, who is the Tom Brady hopeful replacement for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'll sum up my entire 4th round analysis with this pick as well. Basically, I think quarterback was a very good value spot for at this point.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the quarterbacks that went right now. So we have Kyle Trask at 317, Davis Mills at 404, Kellen Mond at 406, Jamie Newman at 409, Tyrod Taylor at 414, and Gardner Minshew at 415. I agree. If you're looking for a backup, like these guys, you have a prospect or you have people who have played before. I think Tyrod might have been even the best value here.
Yeah. I mean, I was back and forth between Tyrod and Jamie Newman. I think it was just that I don't really know how many games Tyrod has in him with Houston before they go with Davis Mills. I also don't know much about Davis Mills outside of he's just like one of those like 1 year guys. So it's too much of a toss up with Houston. I'd rather kind of just have Jamie Newman. So that was my contention, but I'm fine with him at the 409.
Davis Mills was one. I think he was the number one pro style prospect coming out of high school in his draft class.
Yes, he was.
That's also 4 years ago, right?
And dude, he went through a lot of injuries, but
the NFL loves pedigree.
Okay, we're gonna move on from that. The only other pick that I wanted to mention was I know Cassidy and me talked about this guy probably way earlier than we should have been talking about this guy. My guy Semi Fehoko was doom scrolling one day and found this guy's athletic profile and was like, holy shit, why is no one talking about this guy? So yeah, I hope he translates to the NFL.
Yeah, do like him at all. That's our fourth round. I mean, Chris Evans, we did mention at 410, goes to Alex. I think that's a great pick. But yeah, congrats everybody. We made it through another rookie draft.
Yep. Did you guys have favorites and least favorites drafts?
So as far as like an owner goes,
yeah,
I think Rob killed it. I think, man, picking up Elijah Moore at 202 is just thievery. That should not happen in a 16-team league. I think that was the absolute best pick of the draft. And then I also gave Hunter Long to Brandog a great pick at 313.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, this is kind of a funny draft. You see how many people traded picks, and I mean, I liked the action. Even though during the draft I was kind of going nuts because I was like, how come Alex is taking 6 freaking hours to take the best available quarterback? How come was it NY or Dagger? They were taking far too long on another pick. I forget who it was, but I don't mean to throw NY or Dagger onto the bus. It might not have been them. But it was nice to see, Dagger's just really, or should I call him DeGear? Because there's not a second G in there. So DeGear.
No, it's DeGear.
Yeah. So Justin had he had a very active draft, and we'll see if these guys all pan out. I mean, he took 4 wide receivers with his first 6 picks out of 8 or 9 picks of the draft, and then he probably had to drop he might have had to drop a draft pick. I'm not sure.
I've been told that he has running backs in the works too, so stay tuned.
There we go.
Oh, okay, yeah. He just every day is Justin Lee day.
Justin is always wheeling and dealing. I love that guy.
I will say though, with the third rookie draft that we've had, I was going into this thinking, you know what, I can kind of predict who most of these guys are going to take because with the third round, you already have an established team. You have guys who you like, so I figured more people were going to pick positions that they needed, and that did not happen in the first couple rounds. So there were a couple times where I was just like, I guess I'll take Dez Fitzpatrick, or I guess I'll take, the trade from Brett. I gave him the Khalil Herbert pick, and I got Ryan Fitzpatrick and his third round pick, who ended up being Shi Smith. So, there's always something that is like a right hook to you. So I'm glad that there was still some action going on during the draft.
Alex? Agreed. You have your.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right.
My favorite draft was Rob's. My least favorite draft was unfortunately Matt's. Not a Poga Maze.
Yeah, Kumabe had a horrible showing. I was disappointed.
I wouldn't go that far.
It was bad.
Dude,
okay.
Okay. So what did he get with it? He got Trevor Lawrence. He got Ramondre Stevenson. He got Tommy Tremble.
Dude.
And he got. I mean, yeah, he kind of reached for all those picks. Who else? Cornell Powell. I actually like
Powell's fine.
Powell pick.
Powell's fine.
Yeah,
the other 3 are just dog shit.
Jeez Louise.
But it might be another thing where he was just trying to fill the positions that he needed to fill. But I also don't understand the Trevor Lawrence thing.
Yeah.
Because you said he has Kyler Murray. So
Trevor Lawrence is a great player. He's probably going to be really good. He has Kyler Murray. So I don't know.
I will say though, the biggest issue with draft analysis is it's like obviously the only thing that matters is how these guys pan out, and then no one ever goes back to like correct their takes. So we should definitely review our takes a little bit into the season.
I will flame Brandon when Amon-Ra ends up with 85 targets.
I cannot wait for that guy to go off for 150 this year.
Dude, if he gets 150, you have to double it.
No.
Deal. You heard it here,
if
folks.
If you get under 60, then I double it.
No. Brandon, we were doing good, man. We were doing good. Don't add that on there.
Yeah. The over falsity of confidence turns Alex.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Brandog, for joining us on the broadcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me over at your house last week, too.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's Brendan.
Perfect.
It was me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.